David.
Andrew. Josh.
Thanks.
Jocelyn.
Thanks.
Thank you so much. So, lest you fall asleep before lunch, Tom, we got Keith Ferrazzi coming on to talk about how you manage people, how people fit in organizations. He's done a lot of amazing work, research and consulting, and he's written a couple of books about networking and managing and becoming a new kind of person. So brace yourself, Keith Ferrazzi.
Thank you. So the first thing I'd like to do is I'd like to have the house lights up. Not, in fact, to embarrass the people leaving, but instead to engage you a little bit more deeply. Because what I want to do in the next 15 minutes that we're together is I would like to give a bit of a humanist twist, a little bit of a humanist twist and an experiential twist that I think will be helpful for the rest of the day. So look, we're a research institute on human behavior change. What that basically means is we try to figure out why we all do the ridiculous things that we do, the wonderful things that we do, but more importantly, what are the interventions that can actually change human behavior? I've got a full session right after this over at McGregor, and the focus really is, what are the 5 undeniable rules to change anyone's behavior? So if you're curious and would like to change your spouse's behavior, your teenagers, your teams, your sales force, etc., come on over and have a little bit of fun with us. But in the meantime, what I want to do is I want to look specifically on a study that we've done from our research institute, which we curated over 2 years. And the focus was interesting. What we looked at was what were the highest needed and curated or under-curated behaviors for business advancement. In other words, what behaviors have to change the most for business to be successful? And what we found in this day and age, particularly this technologically enabled day and age, the relational and the collaborative behaviors, were the behaviors that needed to be changed the most in order to unleash value. So think about this. The technology world has unleashed a very different world over the last 20 to 30 years. We are now fully global. We operate in totally virtual teams very often. How many of you work on teams where you really don't see the people you're working with frequently? Raise your hands. Most of us in the world today are working on more virtual teams. How many of you work in some form of a matrix today? Raise your hands. The matrix has taken over the world of organizational design. So if you think about that for a second, we actually have a little saying that we say that influence is the new productivity. Influence is the new productivity. In fact, to get stuff done, influence, relationships, collaboration have to be radically unleashed. Now here's an interesting question. In the face of technology enablement, you tell me whether or not you believe in the last 20 to 30 years, we have become more or less relational, more or less connected in terms of the humanistic side of our businesses. How many of you think that in the last 20 to 30 years, we have decreased our relational competency in the workplace? Raise your hands if you think that to be true. Well, that was an assumption that many people had made. And we did the research, and in fact, we found that it was true. Not only was it a general assumption, but we actually found that the data was true. You take something as simple as a meeting, a virtual meeting, or a virtual team that many of you may be on. Guess what? And I brought this little piece of paper to make sure I got the data right, because it's shocking, actually. If you are in a virtual team, you actually have 90% decrease in your innovative capabilities, 80% decrease in trust in a fully virtual team, and 60% less likely to be on time and on budget for those projects in a fully virtual team. Now, that blew me away. Now, with that piece of data, I decided that that didn't have to be true. My gut told me that just because we're in a technology-enabled world and we don't see each other, it doesn't necessarily mean that we're doing the right things to enable the technology. I launched a research project that was called, What are the New People Rules in a Virtual World? In other words, what are we doing? What are we doing in our behavioral patterns? How are we using this technology that may be standing in the way of actually unleashing the possibility of, who knows, maybe even having greater relational and collaborative capabilities? So we launched this study, and by the way, I got a few folks to fund this study. It wasn't very difficult when I reached out to Cisco, Siemens Communications, and our friends at Accenture. And the reason it wasn't difficult, because these organizations are delivering the kind of technology enablement and the process enablement that causes this. So here was the question that we asked, and I'll give you, for instance. Let's take a look at a physical meeting, for instance. How many of you what do you do? And in fact, you give me the house lights up. If it can even go up more, that'd be great. Because I want to have a dialogue. Thank you. What do you all do while you're waiting for a physical meeting to start as everybody is trickling in? What are you doing while that's occurring? Give me some shout outs. Yeah. What's that? You're chit-chatting and that kind of stuff, right? It's called small talk. Guess what small talk does? Yeah, you check email. What generation are you from? Guess what small talk does? Small talk quiets the reptilian brain. Anthropologically, 70,000 years ago, you were hardwired to be looking for your tribe. And when something wasn't of your tribe, it was dangerous, and as a result, it was something to be warned against, defensiveness, right? So the reptilian brain is going off hardwired. What happens is when you're small talking, it's quieting the reptilian brain. As a result, you bound into the meeting, you actually have a greater degree of innovative capabilities, trust capabilities, you take more risks, etc., right? Now, let's flip that around. What are you doing? How many of you use some form of video conferencing or teleconferencing, etc.? Raise your hands. Of course, we all do. What are you doing while you're waiting for everybody else to come to the calls? You're sitting on your computer waiting for your video conference to start. Now you're definitely checking your email. No question. And I don't care what generation you're from, you're checking your email. Now guess what that does? That radically decreases, as the data that we showed, that radically decreases the efficacy of those meetings, the risk-taking, the innovation capabilities, etc. Now, but why do you have to be checking your email while you're waiting? That's your choice. That's a people rule. So the question is, what are the new people rules? And we started a little bit of an intervention pilot and we tested. And one of the people rules we came up with, and we tested this at Cisco, ran it across the organizations for all their use of telepresence. And what we did is we said, at the beginning of a meeting, we want you to do something different. We want you to do a personal professional check-in at the beginning of a meeting. Even blow by small talk. Small talk's kind of BS anyway. I mean, all small talk is the weather, etc. Come on, we're in Detroit. It's either raining or it's cold. It's no big deal. We know what it is. So let's go a little bit deeper in a personal professional check-in. So I'll give you one. It can be short. A personal professional check-in. If I were doing one, I'd say, hi, I'm Keith Ferrazzi. Professionally, we're very excited. A group of us, some folks that were mentioned already up here, the founders of Groupon, myself, the founders of Zappos, we just started a new online mobile platform, technology platform for learning and experiential learning. Because we fundamentally believe that what you have in your pocket is actually an amazing coaching device which is untapped today. So really excited about that. If anybody would like to talk about it, I'd love to. On a personal basis, we have a 12-year-old foster son that came into our home 2 to 3 years ago. He's now 15. And I've kind of got this new resolution. And the resolution, when somebody says, how are things going with your son? I no longer tell them because, frankly, it's bad all the time. He's horrible. We love him, but he's horrible. And this is a kid who is, as all foster children were, relationally damaged at a small age. As you're abandoned as a child, you're relationally damaged. And then you're put into a foster care system where you're treated transactionally for the rest of your life. You have no relational competencies. You're thrown out at 18. And 80% of the U.S. prison population came from foster care. I repeat that, 80% of the U.S. prison population came from foster care. So anyway, our foundation is actually investing in a system to reinvent foster care in Los Angeles, and we've been able to take, for the pilot of 100 kids, we've been able to take 30% of the kids out and into adoptive parents. We're very excited about that. And along the way, we fell in love with this kid who makes my life hell, and I could give you details. So that's a personal professional check-in. Now let me pause for a second. You all have been bumping around doing small talk, talking about whatever you want to talk about. I've got 4 more minutes, and I'm going to give 2 to 3 of them back to you right now. I want you, before lunch, right now, to do a personal professional check-in with somebody sitting next to you. Right? Personal professional check-in. I want you to do it right now, and I want you to see what a people rule, an intervention that you could actually choose to do at any point in your life will actually make a difference in this conference for you. Go for it right now. Personal professional. I didn't trip yet. Make sure you're all getting a chance to share. You got about 30 seconds to wrap this up. 30 seconds. All right, come on back. Come on back, come on back, come on back, come on back, come on back. Come on back. All right, come on back. I have lost control of the audience. All right, just so lights back up again for me, please. Just really quick. How many people enjoyed that process? All right. And what did you notice as you were sharing what you were sharing? Any observations? Don't specifically say what was shared, but more what observations you have. Anything that you can shout out? Beg your pardon? Go ahead. It was easier to connect with people. Yes. It actually got you more engaged and even got you thinking about how you could be helpful. What else? Similarities. Isn't that interesting? How many of you found that some of the stuff you were sharing you absolutely had in common? Raise your hands. Yeah, right. Guess what? So here's the deal. Get over yourselves. You're not unique. And it's amazing. I have done this within organizations where literally people who have been working on virtual teams and even physical teams over a period of time found out that they literally lived within 5 houses of each other. All right? So there is no reason that technology has dissipated our connectivity and emotional resonance and our emotional relationships and collaboration. And if you ever question that, just look at how your kids use the technology. They use it, and mine uses it way too intimately, but they use it in very intimate and connected ways. This is a generational issue. Now, there's also another generational issue relative to the physical intimacy and the physical connection and competency for the next generation that we're going to have to work on as well. But nonetheless, we've got something to learn. If you want to learn how to change your behavior, join me at the session over at McGregor Eye. If you would like to get more of the data and details, this beautiful, wonderful woman who's my business partner and associate there, she's the data person. She's the former CEO over Gallup Consulting and did all of the employee engagement stuff, et cetera. Now she's our resident beautiful wonk in the company. So if you want to doubt the data, talk to her, not me. And what else can I say? What else can I say is take a little bit of this intentionality into lunch. Right? You've practiced. One of the things we've learned about human behavior change is that small doses of incremental change ultimately create behavioral transformation, not knowledge and information, not telling you something, which is why I had to get you to do what I just had you to do. That taste is a higher likelihood of shifting behavior. So now as you're going to lunch, keep it up. Ask the people at lunch, give me a personal professional check-in. Maybe just ask the people at lunch, how can I help? Why were you here? Be curious. If you walk around for the rest of the time being curious about people and giving a damn, you might be amazed to see how much you get out of the rest of this event, and take that back into your teams. See you later.